attacks.
Whew. Always good to start with a warm-up. Whoosh, grab the old chair. Welcome to Flowtricks. Today is an open forum. You're gonna have to give me a second to catch my breath. Friday I did this live stream about jogging, and I'm hoping that my daily jog, I am out of breath a little bit less than I was last week. Hey, it's Sunday. I hope you all are doing well through the COVID epidemic. as you all know, live streaming has kind of taken over a lot of people's lives, and I feel like this is kind of the future for a little while. The essence of human connection is going to be digitally, but if you think about in the old days, I mean, in the old days we didn't even have the internet to connect, so all you had were the immediate people in your area. So I don't want to say we're blessed to have this kind of pandemic, but for the circumstances, I think that the fact that we can still learn and still evolve and still do things, even while we're stuck inside of our houses, it's good. It's a good thing. Or at least, even if it's a minor good thing, we should capitalize on it. Okay, so I'm going to do some shout outs. My screen's over here, so I'm going to be looking over here while my camera's over here. So just going to say hello, send some hellos to everyone I can. Excuse me if I pronounce names wrong. I'm notorious at that. All right, first I want to say hello to my stepmom. She's the first one to say hello to me. So thank you. Thank you for calling me talented. Mattias Bernacki, Jimmy Firebean, Bob Stein, Roger Gibson, Nicole Mark, Cody Renbarger, Terry Carrillo, Marcel, hello. Welcome to the stream. Dow Hoekstra, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Jessica Enchando, Andy Dove, Susan Thomas, Matt Bagshaw, Nizar Chebby. Those are all the people watching on the YouTube side of things. Twitch, I have one user, but I don't know who it is. I just started Twitch, twitch.com/Flowtricks, so it's still kind of new. That's okay. My YouTube channel has questions, it looks like already, but I just want to shout out. First poster was Alexander Hamilton. He says, cool. Holy Moly Does Stuff says, I want tutorials for like everything. Sure, yeah, I could do that. It's only going to be, a 50-year live stream for everything that I could do, at least. What's interesting is someone on Patreon. Now, keep in mind before I start this off, this is a live stream, open forum, meaning this whole internet live stream is for you. So if you don't have any questions, I'm not sure what to do. I might just like spin or do something, but the goal of this is just to answer your questions. If you have questions about any of the props that I spin, questions about performing, questions about just my life in general, or the philosophies I hold, or if you even want to learn a little bit about music or how I do my visuals or any of that, it's pretty much anything is open. You can ask me whatever you want. So please do, because if we run out of questions, I either have to end the stream or I have to make something up. I don't know. Make up something. Games or whatever on the fly, see what we can do. So again, I hope you all are doing well. Let me know. I mean, if you want, you can even just tell me how life's going. I might read it out loud to everyone though, so make sure it's something that you can share. I've been getting a lot of great responses on my YouTube channel recently in private messages. People are really appreciative of this, and that really makes me happy. Of all the things, it's like, I don't know, like the fact that artists, especially during this pandemic, it's just like art has really moved forward in people's lives, because I feel like it's just like hand sanitizer. It's kind of like something that was always around, but now that we've taken away so many things, it's like it's really put it in focus, and there's a new appreciation for it. And I think that's a positive. One positive. I'm not saying it's a positive. Like, I'm not saying everything's positive. Don't get me wrong. I'm just, look, I have my little COVID guy, and he's not happy at all. He's like, I have come to take you all. No. But even he's like learning. Look, he's got his 1 beat down. So eventually we'll start him on 2 beats, and he can be the nice guy. We're just gonna pluck these off, and he can just be a nice little virus. Anyways, sorry, that's just where my brain goes. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start reading off what people are typing. YouTube has a bit of statements, so I just want to make sure there isn't any questions here. So Holy Moly Does Stuff wants me to teach everything. I'll probably teach a few random things. I'm not sure. It depends on where you're at, really. So it's kind of hard for me to pick and choose. But maybe I'll come up with some random tutorials. Armin says, cool, live stream and I'm not sleeping. In Germany, it's 10:37. Awesome. I really need to do earlier live streams, because usually it's at 7 p.m. in the United States, which is, it'd be nice if I could do a morning. It's just hard for me to have the energy. This is usually my prime time is around 5 to 8 o'clock-ish. Let's see. Freestyler says in India it's 2 in the morning. So good job staying up, Freestyler. Abhishek Sharma. Best in List says, really? Yeah, bro, good. Message retracted, message retracted. Something was said, we'll never know. Let's see here. I'm going to see if there's any questions here, but I did just want to shout out a few more. Adilson Gomez, best in the list. Isaiah Thomas says, oh, as I was reading it, it just like the whole screen. I really need to get the screen on this window so you don't just see my face looking sideways. Isaiah Thomas says, I haven't practiced your excellent nunchaku trick tutorials in a long time. Any tips to get back to speed? I mean, I think the biggest tips is the fact that I generally try to demonstrate the move first, and then I do a very slow coverage of it. I kind of want to change the format so people that want to get through it faster can go through it. But a lot of times, one of the best things you can do if you're trying to pick up things quickly is to start at the beginning, see what you need, go to the end, because I usually do a kind of like I summarize everything up. So if you're in it just to try to get through it quickly, the middle is a lot of explanation, and I try to do it in various ways so the different kinds of learners can learn, but it can be slow for people. So if you're one of those fast people that want to zip through it, I would say go through the first minute or so and then go through the last minute and see if you can tie the pieces together. And if you get stuck, then go through the middle. Let's see. Freestyler says, yeah, bro, you see my YouTube channel. You know about my nunchuck tricks. Oh, good. Okay, I'm going to see here. Zayn says, is that the real Ken? That is the real Ken. That's really me. Let me see here. Have you made a tutorial on wrist diversions? So Holy Moly asked if I've done a tutorial on wrist diversions. And the problem is I'm not quite sure what a wrist diversion is. So maybe if you could link me up, I'd take a look and see. There's so many different terminologies where we could be talking about the same thing, but I'm just not sure. That's kind of a problem, especially in the nunchuck world, because we're somewhere in between martial arts, flow arts, and then this freestyle, and all of them have their own terminology. So a wrist diversion might be something different, might be an anti-spin or something to the way I understand. So let me know what a wrist diversion is, and I might be able to tell you if I've done a tutorial on it. Let's see, I just tuned in. Good seeing you again. Hey, Josh, good to see you too. Ike Flow, hey, good to see you. I think you've hit every single one of these. Zane says, what do you mean by the absolute Ken that was in your How to Be Happier video? I just found your page because I wanted to learn nunchucks, and this is right now the right time because of the quarantine. Absolutely. That's actually one of the reasons why I'm live streaming so much more now, is because of the quarantine. So this is your time to be like super ninjas, right? Like by the time this quarantine's done, everyone's going to be just crazy Bruce Lee's. I need more beginner videos for beginners. You know, I just did a live stream just for beginners. If you haven't checked that out, that's another hour and a half of beginner tutorials. It was last week. You might want to check on that. And then if you have more questions, be sure you guys can message me. I'm ken.flowtricks, FLOWTRICKS @gmail.com. You can message me, and I can even use your questions in future live streams. Because again, for me, it's like these live streams are all about helping you guys. Like the most important thing is I get questions. So the more questions you ask that I can help you with right now, the better, because that's the whole point of a live stream anyways, right? Is this back and forth of information and questions. Let's see here. Okay, I just want to make sure. So, okay, Josh Kidd says, the 3-beat weave is giving me issues. It's nowhere near as smooth as it should be. The rotor pass and front to front roll I also struggle with. So we're going to start with Josh. Stella, when you asked about the beginner nunchuck, the best thing I can say is try the last live stream I did for beginners, which was last week. See if that helps. If not, let me know, and we'll continue forward with this. We can continue with more. Some of the problems that I have with the questions people ask is a lot of the struggles that people have is simply just a minor twist of technique. So sometimes I may be able to try to cover the same technique from a different way, but until I know or see exactly how you're doing it, I may not be able to analyze and see where it's getting stuck at. So when the 3-beat weave is giving issues, what Josh is saying is giving him issues and it's nowhere near as smooth as it should be, I may need to see how it looks in order for me to be able to problem solve it. But let's go ahead and go over a 3-beat weave anyways, just for fun. So when you say you struggle with the 3-beat weave, one of the big problems with the 3-beat weave, especially with chucks, is that you have such a small rope that it's a very tight move. This whole motion is very tight. Unlike if you had poi, for instance, where you have a little bit longer rope, you have a lot more time. The chucks, because they're smaller, you have a lot less time to think about it. So usually when I start with the 3-beat weave, I've always taught this way, and I don't know if you've gone this direction or not, which is you start with your arms crossed. So if my right hand is underneath my left hand like this, and I'm basically swinging it from the bottom to the top like this. We're basically taking 2 circles, zoop, and crossing them over. Unfortunately, I didn't set up my visual cam this time. I don't have my special effects on, which would be great because you could actually physically see like 2 circles moving past each other right here and here to create its own circle, as you can see. Both hands are making a circle. This is probably not where you're getting stuck. It's probably the transition though, because that's where most people get stuck at. Because basically, you're going from here, and then you're crossing to the other side, and then you're going back, which is really simple. There should be no problems with that. But the transition between crossing behind is usually where you get stuck or where it gets less smooth. So as we make this circle, and as soon as we start to cross over, the hand on the top is going to slash down, and the others just kind of follow to the other side. And then once we're on the other side, it's going to uncross and cross. My left hand's on top, and we're just going to slash it over to the other side. You can almost see my whole body like turns. So it's here. One thing you can always do is just go nice and slow. Now, you may be looking for smoothness, but what we're trying to do is we're trying to go slowly so you can find the transition point where you might be going a little bit slower and work on that. The whole point of getting a smooth technique is to go as slow as you possibly can while achieving the technique. And then as soon as you do that, do it multiple times and slowly speed it up while not losing it. If you start to lose the technique, or if it starts to slip, then slow it down again until it works. That's probably going to be the fastest way to get through it, or you can just try to force it and just go high speed and see if it works. A lot of times that ends up a little jagged, but that can also work. But we're going to take the slow route to start with. Open, close. Now obviously this doesn't look like a 3-beat because you have to be moving at a certain speed in order to get this to work. But we do need to just let it sit here for a second and don't even worry about that. Just remember whatever's on top is slashing forward, and I almost kind of tilt my arms to kind of go with it, almost like we're playing and it's just kind of dipping and diving back and forth like this, right? So if I only had one chuck, it's very simply a figure 8. But then you got to think, well, what if my wrist is connected with this figure 8? Because that's kind of what's happening. And as we're slashing over, it's kind of diving with it too. It's diving down, and then it's diving the other way. Now, it's not this intense as we start to get faster and faster at it. But when we first start, it's always the bigger your circles are, the more time you're going to have to be able to figure out what needs to be done. Now, like I said, as you start to get this, you can start to add a little bit more speed. Now, it's still going to be flopping around a bit, and that's okay. You're eventually going to get kind of a somewhat more smooth speed, and it's still going to be a little bit jaggedy, and that's okay too. The most important thing right now at this point is to let it be jaggedy, but just try to figure out where those smooth transition points are to the point where you'll eventually reach a speed where it's no longer jagged, pretty much. So there's some sort of transition or something that you're probably pulling that's causing it to jerk a little bit, or maybe too early or too late, but just keep this in mind without the chucks. Open, close. The moment you make a full circle, as we start to close the circle, it's almost like we're an airplane. We're going to twist over to this way, and then it's going to open, close on the other side. And the moment our hands cross again, it's almost like my elbows just kind of follow along with that. Again, this is very exaggerated, but you'll also see me do that with the double staff right here. That same technique is kind of like when I do this too. This is actually, I won't say it's similar to a 3-beat, but when I use 2 staves, it has kind of a similar motion where it's almost like a plane taking off as I cross over. That's a little bit more advanced than with a 3-beat weave standard, but it's kind of the same feel that we're going for. Hopefully that will help. Just keep in mind it's crossed, uncrossed, cross. Twist, it's crossed, uncrossed, cross, twist. And then it becomes one fell motion, one swoop, one motion, cross, uncross, and then as the cross comes, now we're going to try to move with it a little bit more. Cross, uncross, this is coming down, cross, uncross, this is coming down, and just kind of accentuate that, really accentuate that downward swing and turning your body with it to the other side, and hopefully that will help. If not, send me an email, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com with your YouTube video, and I can take a look at it. We'll examine it in the next live stream. Okay, let's see. I'm going to I'm gonna see. Okay, I've got a couple more questions, but I didn't get done with Josh, so let's continue forward with that. Josh also says, the rotor pass and front to front roll I also struggle with. The front to front roll, lots of people struggle with. Front to front roll is a tricky one. The rotor pass is gonna simply just be muscle memory. So one thing I could highly recommend when you're doing a rotor pass is just watch a movie or something. You'll be able to get it, probably by the end of the movie, you'll feel it a lot smoother. But just keep in mind that you just want to keep this motion. So the first one, the hand is going down and it's dropping to here, right? And this kind of lifts up, and then just kind of put your hand down even before it finishes and then kind of pull it over this way. Now you probably can do this, but there's probably something causing it to be less smooth. A lot of that, I say, is muscle memory. It's just getting the feel of the transition down. Eventually what you're thinking of is transferring energy, less about the technique, but you first have to do this without thinking about the technique. So if you're thinking about the technique still, then don't think about going fast yet. Just keep thinking about the technique until you don't have to, because this one requires you to have no hesitation. If I hesitate even for a second, I'm going to be too late or too early. Another thing that you can think of is the transition point. The moment this grabs, this is letting go, and vice versa. The moment this grabs, this is giving a little tug and lets go. So when I grab it, I'm still giving I should say a flick, more like it. Backwards flick, let go immediately. And you can also notice that my hand gives it an upward flick. It's not quite that obvious, but just to demonstrate it, there's certain kinds of flick that will also allow you to have, when you just have that subtle flick in there, it'll give you more speed, because there's this sharp, you just have more speed. It's just a sharp pass, as opposed to if it wasn't there, it's just going to float a little bit more. It's going to hover. It's not going to have as much controller speed. So it's going to be, as your hand's releasing, give it a little bit of a flick and see if that helps as well. The front to front wrist roll is a tough one. A lot of people get stuck with this one. One thing you could try is lowering your grip. So if you're too high with the front to front wrist roll, it can be really wonky, because you're grabbing, you're passing the rope, because going to a front to front covers the most ground, because it has to get from here to under the wrist, to over the top of the wrist, to the crook of your hand. And if you measure it all the way, it's made it all the way over here. This is where the grip would have ended if I held it regularly, whereas the balance point is here. So I've definitely crossed the center of balance with the chucks, which is going to cause it to be really flimsy. So when I do a front to front, drop your grip to a middle grip and see if that helps. Just drop your grip and try the same thing. This will give you a little bit of extra room, so by the time it lands in your hand, it should be nice and snug. Should be right there. Now if you have a top grip and you do this, you are going to run out of room, but you can also slide your hand. So you can kind of slide your hand down to grab it. It requires a little bit more technique that way. To be able to pull that off, you got to give it a little bit more slack, but you can do it, but it's not going to feel nearly as smooth as if you just dropped your hand a little bit. Give yourself a little bit more room, so as it twists through, it will naturally fall exactly where it needs to be. So try that. Try lowering your grip, and also just make sure that you're waving hello and that you're really getting under this wrist right here. It really needs to clear under the wrist, and then as soon as it goes under the wrist, it needs to clear behind the back right into the crook of your hand. Whoosh. So, whoosh, that's under the wrist, and then the moment it lands, it's coming up, you open your hand, twist it around, grab it, done. All right, I hope that helps. Again, if you're struggling with that move and you don't mind it being on a stream, we could definitely put it on the next live stream, or next week sometime. Just send me your video, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. Okay, I'm going to move forward with more questions. Again, this is our open forum, so ask me any question you want. The whole point of this is so I can get you guys taught up and answer your immediate questions. So if you have a video to send, we may not be able to watch it this time, but send me an email, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to review it by the next time. Yeah, unless I get too many of them, of course, then I have to choose some. All right, Nunchaku Egypt says, hi, Master Ken. Hello, Nunchaku Egypt. Stella 13 says, hello from Germany, the time is right. Welcome, Stella. I am Mohammed, I follow from Egypt. That's amazing, Mohammed. That's great. It's really fantastic to see how many people over the world watch these series. I think more people from outside the United States actually watches it than from inside. Freestyle Abhishek says, hi Ken, I'm a big fan. Hello Abhishek. Holy moly, sorry, I thought you did that a while ago, a long time ago on your channel. The message is held for review. Hold on 1 second here. I'm trying to see here. See my nunchaku video, please. Suggest me some nunchuck tricks. I won't be able to watch videos right now just because I don't have my live stream set up to show it to the audience. But if you want to email me, we can take a look at it in the next live stream. That way I can get it set up in this stream so the viewers don't just watch me say, oh yeah, very interesting. They can actually see your video, which is kind of what we want to get. Let's see. Lucy says, hi Ken, hope you're doing great. Too bad I have to go to bed now. That's too bad too. It's okay, we're gonna do more. I mean, I think we're gonna be doing at least one to two live streams a week at least. So Freestyler Abhishek says, what kind of nunchaku do you use? My nunchaku is very hard. I use Dark Monk nunchucks, Dark Monk Studio nunchucks. You can Google search it, Dark Monk Studio nunchucks. They're made for the style that I teach. I worked with them directly to help build these chucks, but I've used just about every style imaginable, from pro chucks to speed chucks to oak chucks to 16-inch chucks to fire chucks to metal chucks. I haven't done the ones with the ringers on it, but I have done a lot of different chucks, to tons of homemade, absolutely to foamies. One of my favorites are oaks, actually. I like the baseball bat oak ones. I've just damaged my elbows to no end. The first 6 years, I couldn't even lay on a bed on my elbows because I damaged my elbows so badly. And then when I taught nunchucks, I want to make sure no one else does that. So for liability reasons, I always suggest foams. I feel like this is the best happy medium. If you can't get these though, foams work great. If you have hard ones, that works fine too. I use something, when I use heavy chucks, after I damaged my elbows, I found this thing called hex pads. Hex pads, Hexpads. I got them off Amazon, and they're pads you can put on your elbows, so if your nunchucks hit them, they won't blow up a bone. Rather, the pad will just hit this nice, cushiony, soft nunchuck, and everything will be saved. So if I could recommend something for heavier nunchuck users, hex pads are amazing. Won't protect your head. It will protect your elbows, though, which I feel like is the number one thing hit. Can't protect your groin either. So be careful. All right, Josh Kidd says, I actually shorten the chains on the current ones I'm practicing with. No, that's great. Some nunchucks have really long chains too. My preference to length is this long. So if I make a fist and the chucks fall down, that's the perfect length, so I can do my chain unwinders, and I can do I dropped it, but I can do my thumb rolls and finger rolls. It's the technique I was trying to do. Let's see if I can do it. Is a chain unwinder to a thumb roll. It's kind of tricky because while you're chain unwinding, you stick your thumb in the middle, but you have to kind of isolate it just a second. But if you have shorter chucks, right? If you have shorter chucks, you may not be able to do that, but you do have better throws. Like, your throws are just cleaner and sharper. You can get away with just sharper, more controlled moves. Stalls are great, but you lose the ability to manipulate the rope if you go much smaller than this. And if you go longer, then you're getting more into like rope darty poi territory. Josh Kidd, so it is quite quick and I can't keep up. Oh yeah, you're talking about the short ones. Yeah, Josh, I recommend that you keep spinning those light chucks though, because I think it's a good goal to try as many chucks as you possibly can. These chucks are recommended because I tried so many chucks. This is my preference, but it's definitely not everyone's preference. Like, everyone's got their own style, and so it's good. Maybe it is too fast. Maybe there's a modification that you can do to change it up. Here's some modifications you can do. Lengthen the rope, shorten the rope, add weights at the end, put padding over it, don't put padding over it, change your grips. All of these things will change the different ways that you can spin the chucks. When you have more grips, you can do more contact moves. When you have less grip, well, you just have more challenge. You can make things slide through more if you need to slide your grip better. But all of these things are going to change things. I find one of the biggest factors for nunchuck spinning is what's at the end of the chuck. Like, if there's weighted ends, it changes it. And then also, how long is the rope? Those are like the two biggest ones. Obviously, also, how long is the chuck? 12 inches is standard. Most people do 12s. But if you go to 16s, that changes the name of the game by far. You lose some techniques and you gain more contacty moves. And then there's also 10-inch chucks, which we call tech chucks. And those are more for like inside moves. Like when you're going inside into your arm, you can do even more tricks because it'll clear inside your elbow. whereas these can kind of hit your elbow if you reach a certain level. So you do have different options you can play with. What I recommend, of course, is just the most standard, but you should always just try all the different kinds of chucks you can. I can't recommend it enough. It's great. It's great. And it'll help your style too. Like, because when you go back to your other chucks, some techniques are easier to learn on different kinds of chucks, but they still transfer over. Holy Moly says, found the trick, Soulwire 101 trick 2. Soulwire 101 trick 2. Let me see if I can pull that up on here. Hey, it's me. Let's see, Soulwire 101 trick 2. Oh my gosh, where would that be? So, holy moly, you're asking about Soulwire 101 trick 2. Give me, oh, that's my lab, I'm sure, right? Soulwire Lab 101, I think that's like one of my first nunchuck labs. Boom, here we are. Let's take a look and see what we got here. Oh my gosh, you realize this was like when I was like, 2008, May 12th, I was 2 months into nunchucks at this time. All right. So, here we are, number 2. Okay, you're gonna notice something about me right away, which is I've created names for things. I called it the wrist diversion. I didn't even remember that. That's how bad I am with names. I totally missed it again. Sorry, I was just laughing. Oh shoot, I haven't done that move in ages. Thanks for reminding me. Oh man. Boy, you're gonna put me on the spot. That's a back-to-back. Okay. Oh my gosh. So if I could tell you something here, I have a list. I have a list of all the nunchuck moves that I've done. And someone just recently asked me if I could make a tutorial of all the nunchuck moves that I know. And I'm seriously considering about it. I am considering like releasing every single nunchuck move that I know and putting it in like a DVD or something and just creating like this ultimate compendium. But it's gonna be a lot of work because a lot of the moves that I did, I was good at 10 years ago, but I haven't practiced since. Like this move is 11 years old and I probably haven't practiced it for 10. So I'm gonna give it my best here. I may have to break it apart for a second. It's a back-to-back though, I do know that. Let me just see here. Oh my gosh, that's crazy talk. Let's see, it's a back-to-back, and once we do the back-to-back, what I'm trying to do is use my wrist to divert it. It's very similar to like, it's very similar to that type of motion where I'm using the wrist to guide it, but then switch the planes. So we're doing a back-to-back wrist roll, but as this is coming up, and it's spinning through, I use my hand to kind of lock it and twist it the opposite way. Let me make sure that that's correct here, because I think it's something like that. Does that look about right? I need to look at them. I need to like look at this video again. I haven't done that move in like 10 years. I think that's it. Let me just make sure here. Boy, I look so young in that video. Had no goatee. Yeah, I think that's it. Wait. Let me see one more time. Okay, I'm gonna go with that. I think that's the one. It may be a little bit different, but I can look at it more in depth if you feel like that's a different one. But yeah, what we're basically doing is we're doing a back-to-back wrist roll like so, whoosh, whoosh. But as the back-to-back happens and it's rolling over the top, all of a sudden I'm going to use my hand to chop through it instead. So it's kind of like, you know how we have this motion here where we're doing this pass. I don't know if you've done this pass before. It has that same kind of glidey feel. So when we're doing the back-to-back and our hand is pointed upwards, as the back-to-back is happening, we twist. It's almost like we're chopping towards our stomach and out. And that's going to cause the chuck to want to spin this direction where we can grab it up top. So again, if you want to practice this motion, first have your palm like this with the chuck sitting on your wrist, chop through, and see the one that's by your thumb, you're going to actually let it drop in front of your thumb and catch it here. It's just when it's in motion, it just has a different, you're basically almost switching the planes on it a little bit. Man, I haven't seen that move in ages. No, thanks for reminding me. I laugh. I've met people that have watched all my videos, and they're like, "Oh, Ken, do you know this one move you did in like blah 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 in this video on the 3-minute mark?" And I'm just like, my brain's like, I did that like 8.5 years ago. I think I remember. It's, it's like, for me, I make up a lot of the moves, and then sometimes I just have too many moves and I just forget some of them. But let me know if that's the one. I think that's the technique that we're looking for, though. Ike Flow says, I tried those nunchuck rebound movements, forgot the exact term you showed on the last stream, opened up a load of other ideas I've been working with on the staff. Absolutely. So he's talking about, we just did hyperstyle, and it opened up a lot of moves for him, and we're working on this kind of thing here, where we're just like all these bounces, 1, 2, 3, 4. Does it work with other props? It definitely does. It usually requires something a little bit more, less with ropes, but you can still like whoosh, chop, chop, whoosh, whoosh, stop. Like you can bring it up to stop the motion. So you can still use hyperstyle to that degree. Like you can still like bam, use your hand to bounce it back and forth, even if you're using a different prop. I don't even know. You can probably come up with some really cool tricks. Like bounce it under to throw it or whatever. That's play state. I don't really know. I haven't practiced hyperstyle too much on the staff, but I'm assuming you could still do a lot of the same tricks with it. But since it's stiff, you might be able to add like extra little rolls. Oh, I can show you this one here. It's just that's a hyper influence move with the staff. And the way that works is you take the staff, say it's in my left hand and I'm holding down by my left side, and I throw it up to my shoulder like this. Whoosh, right? Normally, you can't do this too fast because this wants to keep going, but when you go up here, your hand is gonna slap it down. So this hand actually stops it. It's almost like hyper, but a different, slaps it down, right? Comes across, this slaps it up, and we're gonna do the same thing over here. Slap it down, come across, slap it up, slap it down, come across. Slap, 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 down, across, slap. Neat, huh? I did discover that one, and that was basically taking the ideas that I learned with nunchucks and moving it over to staff. I don't know if you've discovered that one yet or not, but that's definitely a good one to learn. You can go really fast with it. Feels great. All right. Miroslav says, hello from Serbia. Well, welcome. Thank you. Lucy says, actually, before I go, I've been struggling with the chicken wing. Maybe go over it next time. Sounds great. Definitely looking forward to the next live stream. A lot of people struggle with the chicken wing. Let's go over it. Number one question with the chicken wing, how long is your rope? Because if your rope is too short, you won't be able to chicken wing. Because the chicken wing requires the chuck to be able to sit in your bicep area to pinch it, and it still needs to be able to fold around. If you can't fold around like this, you won't be able to get the chicken wing off, which is this motion here. The chicken wing, essentially, the easiest way that I find to get it to go is to go from cross your body, underneath the arm, and grab it like this. But you don't want to stop, because if you stop and you pinch it down, you're not going to be able to get where you need to go. It needs to be in motion. So as this comes over and you drop it, you're immediately pulling this way, but you're keeping it nice and locked. Now this can pinch the living daylights out of your arm, so don't go too fast with this move. So what I'm saying is, you're doing the chicken wing, pulls under. The moment it touches, do you see the moment it touches, I'm twisting my wrist, or I'm twisting my arm. I pinch it in and twist it down, and then up, and then down, and then back. Down and back. Not too hard though, but oops, see, I didn't grab the rope on that one good enough. Now, what I'm aiming for to grab it is I'm probably going to grab the bottom of the chuck with it, but I'm going to grab it right here. That's what I'm aiming for when I try to release from it. So here, chicken wing. Oops, jeez. Chicken wing. It's because I'm live. Grab, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this forward, and I'm going to take this into a throw. I usually go from a throw. So as this is swinging this way, I'm going to pop it this direction and catch it. So having some chicken wing issues. Again, it's kind of pinchy. It looks great, but it is kind of a pinchy move, to be honest. Even that pinched me a bit. But I found the easiest way to do it is to get under the arm, really get the snug in, pinch it down, twist, grab, roll, throw, catch. Hope that helps. If it doesn't, again, you can send me a video, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. Let me know. Let's see here. Yeah, let me know. Let me know if you're struggling or if you have any questions about that move. Let me see. Okay. I'm going back really quick here. I got a few more YouTube questions, and then let's go over to Facebook, because I haven't seen Facebook in a minute. I just realized I had that other video up the whole time. So, Holy Moly Dust Stuff says, oh, hell yeah, I would buy that DVD. You know, the biggest reason why I haven't made the DVD is because it's so huge. 5 years ago, I think I was up to like 275 to 300 techniques. And since I didn't have names for them, you know how I forgot the name of the one move that was sent to me just recently? I still didn't even know the name of the move. You could only imagine me trying to go through 300 moves, me writing down this is the chicken wing and this is the inverse cordial blah blah blah. And so I'm going through my old notes saying, oh my gosh, I probably have almost double that now. Probably, right? They're probably variations, but still, there's a lot of techniques to sort through. I think it's going to be fantastic, though, and in the end, I'm going to stop talking in a minute, but in the end, it's I really need to make that video where we just, an encyclopedia of all the tricks I know and can share, because, I can't teach this forever, and it got to pass the torch on, so I think that might be happening. I just have to organize everything. It's going to be a big undertaking. Best in the List says, when did you start your nunchuck life? That would be about 12 years ago-ish or so, I would say. It really happened because I was a musician and I performed in California for music. I performed music in California. Sorry, my screen keeps flickering. My screen literally turns off and on, and I don't know why. And I think that I lose the stream, but I think it's okay. Yeah, I was performing music maybe 10 years ago or so, but I've always done nunchucks prior to that, but never as a freestyle flow art, always as a martial art. Studied martial arts for about 13 years prior to me picking it up in the circus arts, where I've done it about a little over 10 years now. But yeah, no, they were fire dancing to music, and I thought it was the greatest thing. And when I came back, I was actually really nervous about fire dancing, but eventually the bug bit me, and I chose nunchucks. And so I locked myself in my room. I took a week off of work, and I spun nunchucks the whole time. The whole time I took a week off. I was a full-time computer help desk analyst working in my job, and I took off a week just so I could spin nunchucks, and it was the best. It was the best feeling, and felt really, really liberating. And so I decided to just keep going and just not watch any videos on how people are doing it unless I'm absolutely stuck. For the most part, almost every move I made was just self-discovery, just sitting in my room saying, well, what if I do this? What if this happens? And eventually I bumped into someone who was a brainiac. He didn't quite come up with new moves, but he could analyze my moves and tell me what other moves associated with it. So we would work together, and we just came up with all these different combos and movements. And that's kind of where a lot of the moves come from. Yeah. Wild, right? Let's see. Lucy says, very neat indeed. It looks awesome. Thanks so much, Ken. These streams are super helpful. It absolutely helped. Good. I'm really glad to hear that. The whole point of the live stream is to help you all. So as long as I'm doing that, that's great. I'm going to move over to Facebook. I do see some questions on YouTube, and please keep the questions coming, because when they stop, then I think our stream's done. So I'm going to go over to the Facebook side. It's a little bit quieter over here, and I just want to make sure that I answer some questions. Let's double check here. You can see me just reading. This is the best. I really need to put the questions up on the monitor so you guys just don't see me saying, yeah, this is really fun, Ken. Oh, thanks. All right. Michael Gertz. Let's see. Why Lamb Yip Seafood says, we are getting old. And that's an absolute truth, man. You can't really see it too. You can probably see my grays. You probably can't see it with this lighting, but I've got nice grays coming in. I mean, I'm in my, what am I gonna be this year? 43. I'm gonna be 43 this year. So I'm not young anymore, and I've noticed that my endurance has gone down a little bit, but I'm still kicking, still doing it. I think I'm still gonna be performing for 20 years or so. Rainbow Michael Haynes says, can you tell me the poison on the tip of the blow dart gun? I think you have to go down to the jungles and grab the most angry frog you can, and you have to squeeze it when the moon is full, and you have to point it at an angle mixed with a rabbit, and you combine them together, you shake it into a dart, and then you have the ancient secret blow dart that no one tells you about. And if whatever you blow it on, they explode within 10 minutes. And they turn into a turkey. It's insane. Just insane. Alex says, hey, Ken, hope things are good. Things are good, man. Things could definitely be worse, right? Things could definitely be worse. Things are good. Live streaming and reaching out to people, and people are doing stuff. That's great. And my computer just shut off. Wait, it's back on. Okay. Ray McDonald says, what martial arts style did you study? So in Omaha, they had a dojo back in the 90s where they had about 18 different instructors. I can't say exactly. It's about 18, though. So I studied a lot of different martial arts. It was the best, man. This dojo was open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. If you could imagine a dojo 5 days a week, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., come whenever you want. And at the time I was in my late teens, I just worked a part-time job and I just camped at that dojo. Like, that was my life, man. I learned a lot of different arts. I really enjoyed RBWI martial arts, kickboxing, and jiu-jitsu. And Kali kind of grew on me later. I love Kali, especially like with a lot of the tricks that I do nowadays. I feel like Kali has served me really well with being able to see weapon patterns. I really think Kali was very nice. Lin Yip says, same here, 42. Yeah! One thing I do like about the age thing is, I don't know about you, Lin, but in my 20s, I wasted so much energy. Like, I wasted so much energy trying to be fancy, and it's like now I'm very economical. Like, I can see exactly what needs to be done. Everything's clear. I don't need to be so hyper or crazy. I wish I had the energy of my 20s with the understandings of my 40s, though, because that would be the ultimate combo, right? Yes. If I just had the energy, man, I would just be killing it. My focus is so good now. In my 20s, it was all over the place, right? But, that's okay. I'm still here. So I just think it's good to be economical with your movement. As a matter of fact, I feel like as you spin too, like the best kind of thing you can think of is, how can I work less hard? Because the biggest problem beginners have is they work too hard. They put in too much movement. They add too much. They make it more complicated than it actually needs to be. But it has to be that way because they haven't developed the sensitivity to do just enough. So sometimes you have to think about, well, what can I do just to put in just enough? Because athletes are not just tense and moving as hard as they can. They don't do that. That's something new people do. Athletes are very relaxed and they exert just enough force to get the job done. And to be able to go fast with your props, a lot of times it's the same thing. You don't muscle it. You don't use your will. You'll burn out too fast. What you do is you put just enough to keep the momentum going. And then when you fine tune it just right, it is an exertion of force, but not nearly as much as the people that are strong arming it. So a little trick for you all, especially if you're learning a new trick, when you learn it first, you're going to realize you're going to put in more effort than you need to. Don't stop doing the trick just because you learned it. Try to figure out how you can still do that trick with minimal energy. Once you can do that, focus that energy in something else like movement or something more exciting, your other hand or something. All right. So, yes, that was great. Now I'm going to move over back to YouTube. And remember, this is an open forum, so say whatever you want. Ask me any questions. It can be about music, martial arts, flow arts, music, video games. I said music twice. Projection mapping, performance, how I made a living as a performer. Like, I've been full-time performing for, until COVID came. Now I'm full-time streaming, I guess. I don't know. But if you have any questions, like, this is the time to ask, because once we run out of questions, I think I'm going to close the stream here. So I'm going to get over back to here. Lucy says, I'm going to try it again. I'll let you know. That sounds great. Again, if you all have questions or you want to send me videos for the next stream, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. More than happy to look it over and see and take a look, as long as you don't mind me sharing it with the audience. Ikeflow says, thanks, Ken. I've been trying to rebound with the staff from the waist to the horizontal plane and do a sword type of movement above the head. Let me think here. I've been trying to rebound with, oh, my thing keeps shutting off, with the staff from the waist on the horizontal plane and then going into a sword type of movement over the head. I'm thinking I know what you're saying. Let me get back here. I'm gonna just say that, so if are you like bouncing here to like do like this over the head motion here? You could even use your hand to rebound it there, right? So what you want to do here is rebound it here to here. The reason why I say rebound is just because if you don't use your hand to rebound it, then all the force has to stop before you can continue. But if you have something that stops the motion, you can easily pull it to rebound it again. Or you can even, I'm wondering if you're talking about this one where you come over and slash it through. That one's not really a hyper bounce so much, but you could be like boom, boom, whoosh, slash. That one's really easy. It's even easier with the staff because the moment you go over your head, so this one's going to be like slash over here, and the moment it goes over your head, you just kind of spin with it before you come. So whenever it goes over your head and it's kind of tilting to the side, that's when you turn with it to slash it out. So if I'm over here, I might be like whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Or if I'm the opposite way, I might go whoosh, slash. Wow. Remember, once it goes over the head, you just kind of turn with it. You can also go all the way around here, you know, and then from here, you can take it over the head and then do some crazy slash. There's a lot of different options. Don't forget though, you can go behind the back to pass it. So when we're going over here, it's just kind of a fun one because it's just like snatch, and then you can still go with whatever you're trying to do. Cross, cross. I don't know if any of those were the move you were trying to do, to be honest. But those are the ones that initially came to my mind, and they're not too hard to do, and I think they look good and they have a lot of power in them too. You could knock some people out with those moves. Those are like Neo moves. I don't know if you guys play that game Neo. It's like my favorite game right now. I'm hooked on it. That's a whole nother ballpark. But yeah, Neo 2, man. Ikeflow says, I'll buy the DVD too. So there's talk, for those of you just joining, there's talk of me releasing all of my moves on a DVD or in a video series. And I know it'll be over 300 techniques, so it's going to be a big process. So it's kind of something I've been thinking about, but at the same time, it's kind of a legacy I want to leave behind. If you're interested, let me know, because I feel like if there is enough interest for it, I will work on it. It's just going to take me a long time. It'll take months probably, but I would basically teach it as a beginner, make 2 to 3 minutes for each technique, and cover about 300 techniques. Josh Kidd said, thanks, I'll keep working on different variations. Yeah, tell me what you're working on, and then I can help give you some suggestions for different variations. One thing I'd have a lot of is variations of moves. I definitely have a lot of variations. Kapil, what's up? Best in the list, so did you learn it by yourself, brother? For the most part, I did. I mean, I can't say that I was completely self-taught because I did martial arts 13 years prior to starting. When I sat in my room and trained nunchucks, I had a lot of martial arts training beforehand. So I had something to go off of. I wasn't just coming in fresh into the weapon. So I knew all the basics already. I just couldn't think of... there was techniques they're building blocks, like the hand rolls I could do before I was freestyling, you know? But at the same time, yeah, for the most part, I was self-exploration. The crazy thing is a lot of people already invented the moves. So I'm not doing it because I want to claim the moves per se. It's just the best way I learn. When I learn from other people, I have a difficult time I don't know if it's a learning disability or what, but I've always struggled. I did horrible in school. I was actually a dropout in school. And it was because I can't learn that way. That's just not the way I learn. My hands need to be on it. I need to understand it intuitively. I need to understand how it feels with me doing it, which makes it really hard because a lot of times when people try to describe it or show me visually, I just can't connect with it. I'm a kinesthetic learner. I need to be able to do it myself. And when I can do it, then I can learn it better, like a lot better, tons better. So Kapil says you still look 20. Well, I think some of it's just this lighting, and some of it, yeah, is genes, I'm sure. But on the inside, I definitely feel like I'm in my 40s. Best in the list. Let me tell you, you are one of the main building blocks for me to start up performing nunchuck arts. Thank you, man. God bless. No, thank you. I really appreciate that. When you want to be a performer, you let me know, because I can talk for hours on nunchuck performance, how to book gigs, how to get actually started. It's a huge undertaking, but it's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. Performing for people, just the fact that like my whole life just makes people happy, you know, whether I'm performing or teaching. My goal is to either give you tools to express yourself, or it's just to take someone away from their hard day. Like when I'm performing, you take people, you transport them away from their day so they can remember that life is mysterious, that life isn't all just going to work and coming home, and it's a beautiful thing. So no, I'm really appreciative. I thank you guys. Like, for me to have this opportunity just to make people happy and make that as my living is it's beautiful. Like, I love it. I've definitely had jobs where I didn't make people happy, you know, especially working my regular day jobs, and it just wasn't me. So I was really happy with that. Oh, and by the way, just for the pitch again, you know, I was a full-time performer, and now this is my sole income until I can figure out where I'm going with my life. I'm trying. But if you do find any of these live streams valuable and you yourself aren't struggling too bad, you can always donate to Flowtricks. Just if you want to send a one-time tip, it's paypal.me/Flowtricks. And if you want to join the Flowtricks Patreon, where there's over 100 exclusive videos, then it's patreon.com/Flowtricks. All of it right now, especially now, just supports me being able to keep doing this through COVID. So I can just keep going into this deeper instead of having to look for other financial resources. If you can't do it, it doesn't matter. It's okay. Like, I understand, but my point is that people that can help, that's great. But at the same time, I'm going to do this regardless, because I think this is just a good thing. It does definitely help though, so it's all appreciated. It's down below if you didn't see it. It's been sitting there the whole time. I'm going to get back here though. Lucy says, I'll save the question for the next live stream. Thanks. See ya. Stay safe. You too, man. Or woman. I'm sorry. I actually don't know. You too, person. Yeah, stay safe. Holy moly. I'm going to teach a nunchuck flow seminar. What would be a good trick for each level? You know, that's something I would need to write down. I actually wrote down a belt system from white to black. The problem is, okay, let me tell you what the problem is with creating a belt system for freestyle nunchucks. There's a couple things. One is, in martial arts, you have a system of progression, mainly because the techniques get a little bit more complicated or they're more dangerous. But with flow arts, it's different. Some people are, well, I guess it's not all the way different, but there's some moves like that you should only teach black belts in martial arts because it's just dangerous and you don't want white belts to be breaking arms. But for flow arts, one of the guys could get the most complicated tricks at white belt, but then he can't get the most fundamental trick. So it's like, what do you teach at what level? And then as you get to intermediate and advanced, what some people think is intermediate is completely different than what others. So you kind of have to go off your own style. I do have a list of moves that I think work well, but at the same time, I've revised it so many times because I've second guessed it. When you really start breaking down moves into levels, you realize that this move isn't really that difficult, but it could be for certain people, you know, so you start second guessing it. I'm still going to create the system, and I'm doing it the best way I can. But when I really think about it, there's no system that can really fit for everyone. So when you're trying to do your system, I think it may be even better just to not necessarily have a belt system, but just to have levels: beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert, 4 levels. Because when you break it down into 10, you're gonna start struggling when you're trying to figure out if this is a 4, 5, or 6 level 4, 5, or 6 move. You know. I don't know, like where does figure 8 wrist rolls come in? They're like foundations. You would want it to be at like 1 or 2, but at the same time, it's a little bit trickier. You might want to pull it later on and just get the core foundations. It's kind of tricky. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's been tricky for me to figure out what kind of patterns I want to put the nunchucks in, which is also why, like I said, I worked on that years ago. I wanted to create a belt system where we could create like an actual structure for people to move through, and it got really confusing really fast because it's hard to accommodate all the different ways people are learning it. It's tricky. Capil says, Neo, badass. Yeah, I love Neo, man. I use the Odachi whoosh, and the hatchets. Whoosh. I use the hatchets to throw, and then when they come close, I use the 2-handed sword, and I just cut them apart. Andrew says, yo, I would like to buy a DVD. Okay, so we've got another vote for a DVD that has all the nunchuck tricks. None of the excess talking, just straight, here's how you do the trick. Here's the next trick. Here's how you do it. And then we'll just have different videos for each one. All right. I'm gonna move over to Facebook just because it looks like Twitch has no viewers, so I'm good with Twitch. No one's asking questions. That's okay. I don't advertise on Twitch yet. But I'm going to go over here to Facebook real quick. And Alex says, upwards and downwards stalls with the chucks. I'm trying to learn this at the moment with the chucks and with the rope dart and finding it difficult. I am going to try to load. This is going to take me a minute, y'all, but I'm going to try to load my visual software because showing you a stall is going to be the easiest to show with me being able to trace lines. When I can trace the lines, I think you'll be able to see it really easily. So give me a second while I load my visual software up. I got you covered, Alex. So up stalls and down stalls. Down stalls are tons easier to learn than up stalls. Learning with the rope dart's going to be harder than learning it with the chucks. Learning it with the poi is going to be the easiest of all of them. Okay, let's see if this works. Give me a second here. We do. We have liftoff. Okay, I'm going to have to make some adjustments here. Okay. So Alex had asked about up stalls and down stalls and how to do them. Boom, okay. All right, I got my drawing program here. So what an up stall is as my chuck is spinning, you see how my chuck is spinning in a circle, right? If the tip of my chuck were to be moving, it would be creating a circle like this, right? So the trick is, as the chuck is moving in a circle, let's say, I'm just going to kind of demonstrate here. If my hand is the tip of the chuck and this is where it's spinning, your stall kind of happens where your hand is going to stop right in the middle of the spin and point downward. So the down stall, for instance, is my chuck is spinning here and my chuck stops here, right? So it's spinning in a circle here, right? The moment it's here, my hand is going to dip over and try to reach exactly where that spin was. So again, if I'm spinning the chuck right now, chuck is spinning in a circle, whoosh, right? Chuck is spinning in a circle. The moment it's to the outside, my hand is going to kind of lift over and fall into the place where that chuck was. So chuck was here, hand goes there. Whoosh, whoosh. So when it's here, whoosh, here, whoosh. So what you have to do is visualize the chuck spinning in a circle like this, and then you have to move your hand when it's over to the side. So when it's over here, it lifts up a little bit and it dives down. So whoosh, like that. Here, whoosh. Or if we go the opposite way, it's the same thing. As this is spinning in a circle again, whoosh, right? The moment it's over here, my hand's gonna move over, it's gonna dive over to here. So whoosh, 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 whoosh. Down stalls are easier. I like them with chucks too because you can down stall to hold it and then kick back into your chucks. So you can do a down stall to do some sweet stuff, or you can just like do some little tricks. Oh, that's kind of cool. Up stalls are a little bit trickier because as you're up stalling, you only have so much time before the chuck stops, before the chuck just plops over and falls. So you have to put a lot of force in it so the chuck is actually like holding itself upright for a second. It's going to be the same thing. The way I like to think about that is like a golf swing. I generally think up stalls look better than down stalls. Like down stalls don't look as impressive as an up stall, but they're a little bit harder to do. And do you notice, like watch my hand. My hand moves in a big U, right? This is the pattern that my hand moves. So what you'll see is it's going here, flicking up, and here. So if you look really closely with my hand, it's going down. As soon as it hits around my waist, it really makes this U shape, and my hand kind of twists. Now let me turn this off for a second. My hand really just kind of twists into it. So as I'm here, as I start to go down and we're hitting the bottom part of the peak, I really twist my hand to pull it up. In the end, my thumb is facing up. If I were to stick my thumb out, it would be facing up. Watch, it's going up like this, and that's kind of coming down and up like that. Up to up. The trick is the snap as it reaches down to up. I'll go grab my rope dart, I'll show you. I'm not the best rope dartist, but rope dart has a similar thing. So if we're doing rope dart, to be able to get this stall, right? Most of it's going to be in this flick of the swing. Start with your hand really close to the rope dart to get it started, and then just see if you can kind of flick it back and forth until it faces upwards. The moment it starts going upwards, you give it a harder flick, and then you let your hand open. So it'll be like here. So you just open your hand as it's going up. So up, 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 and flick. So that's kind of how, that's how I would do an upstall. With the rope dart, you really have to flick it harder because it needs to go up higher. So with the nunchucks, you don't have to flick it as hard, but it's that coming upwards and making sure your thumb is facing up. That's going to be the best way to think about it the whole time. So here, here, here. Let me know if that helps. Go back to the front cam. All right. Okay, so that is the upstall and the downstall. I find that the downstall has more usability. The downstall, when you do a downstall, especially in nunchucks, you can kick it, you have all these extra options. I think the upstall looks better visually, but it has less tricks you can do. Oh wait, I do want to show you this though. If you're doing an upstall with the chucks, you're set up for a catch. So if you're doing an upstall back and forth, right? If you think about it in slow motion, the chuck is facing upwards. You can open your hand and drop the chuck and just grab the top of it. So if we're doing our upstalls, right? You can just grab the top and go back into your stalls. So as you're doing an upstall, just kind of as it starts to slow down, reach up and grab the top of it before it stops. And then kind of give it a little bit of a push up to pull it back down. Oops, that was pretty bad. The less you get it to move when you do it, the better it looks. Generally, I'm stronger on this side than I am on this side. So just to practice. It's a matter of practice. But that's a little trick you can do once you get the upstalls down. It looks nice. Okay, let's see here. Hello, Tim Hickman. Hello. Oh, Justin. Sorry, I read past that, but yeah, welcome, Justin, as well. Welcome, Tim. And let's see. Martin says I'd definitely be interested in buying the DVD also. So that's 4 people that are interested in buying a full-length DVD of all the nunchuck tricks. I wonder. Sounds like this is something I need to do. Martin says, how do you do the infinity roll on reverse? I've had a ton of people trying to help me with it, but I just can't seem to break it down. When you're talking about the infinity wrist roll, I'm assuming are you talking about the back-to-back? Or, let's see. Martin, there's different kinds of infinite wrist rolls. There's a back-to-back and a front-to-front, which are the most common, but then also we have like contact infinity wrist rolls. Let me know. I'm assuming we're talking about this one, but I'm not sure. There's also this one, which is tons harder. Whoops, I just totally dropped it too. As I said, it's tons harder. There's this one where you can just keep this going infinitely, but you have to kind of give it a little bit of a popping motion. Then you also have the front-to-front infinite wrist roll too, so I give up. Hey, I'm on live stream, I can't edit it out. Well, one thing is, you guys have seen my videos. I don't always edit out my drops anyways. So there's that infinite, there's this infinite, and then there's the contact infinite, which is probably the hardest of them all. Let me know which one, and I'll get back to you on that question. If you can just tell me which infinite you're doing, or if you could send me a link to one of your attempts, maybe then I can take a look too. Okay, going back to YouTube now. I've answered all the questions on Facebook. I'm awaiting the question from Martin. Oh, front to front. Okay. Cool. I don't know if you saw, Martin. I actually just covered the front to front earlier. I covered the front to front earlier on a different question. He said his front to front was a little bit more jaggedy, but the front to front is the hardest of all the 4 wrist rolls because you got the front to back, the back to front, which are the first 2. Then I always teach the back to back as number 3, and the last one's always the front to front. The biggest problem that people have most of the time is they don't bend the wrist back far enough. They kind of bend their wrist forward instead, trying to catch or intercept the chuck. So if you were to, let's see. Okay, this is not a pen, and this is not sharp. But if you had a pen, I don't have a pen on me right now. If you had a pen, what I want you to do is take a pen or some sort of marker and write a line here, go across the bottom of your wrist here, and then pull it up where your pinky finger is, all the way up between here. Let me see if I do have a pen. Actually, using a knife just looks creepy. I think it's a visual thing for you, man. I think it's a visual thing. So I'm gonna write on my hand for you, man. So the front to front wrist roll starts pinky to thumb. We're gonna make a line, and it's gonna go down the wrist, right? It's gonna go across the back of this wrist here, right? And then from the back of the wrist, we're gonna draw it all the way. We're gonna draw a line all the way back to our hand like this. So what you can see is it starts off here, slits down, comes across the bottom of the wrist, and then comes across the top, across this top line here. And it should, let me see if you can kind of see it. Now it's not the best line, but you get the idea. It's right here. If you see it that way, then when you're doing your pass, you can try to pass across that line. So the initial pass, you don't even come across the bottom of the hand, but what you're gonna aim for is the bottom of the wrist right here. See where that line is? You're aiming for that bottom of the wrist, whoosh, like this. So what you wanna do is when you're holding it in a front grip, see if you can just get the front of the wrist. And you notice how I'm pinching this open? It should look really awkward and weird like this. Get the bottom of that wrist. Make that line on your wrist right here so you can reach it. Whoosh, like this. The moment this happens, you let go and drop your hand just slightly so this can come across, this part of the chuck can come across the back and should roll right into your hand. In one fell swoop, it's gonna go like this. Cross the wrist here. You can do this with your hand too. You can do this with your hand. Just do this. Step one's gonna be just like, it's almost like you're waving high, but you're pinching it with your thumb. So step one's like this. Step two, grab the bottom of the chuck, pull it across the bottom of your wrist like this. So that's step two. Step one, this. Step two, grab the bottom of the chuck and wrap it. Step three is let go and then follow that line on the back of your hand, right? And then step four is just twist your arm around and grab it. In one motion, boom. Also keep in mind, lower your grip. Don't grab so high for this one because a front to front wrist roll, if you start here, if you let the hand roll all the way, you'll be grabbing down here, which is way past the center line and you'll fumble it. So do a mid grip to get a good front to front roll and try it again here. Again, here's the bottom of the wrist. Whoosh, bottom of the wrist. So one is this, two is grab the back end of the chuck and wrap it around the bottom of the wrist so they're both facing up like this. Make sure you have it like that. Three is open your hand and kind of twist your hand and match the line where the chuck is that you drew on your hand. And four is grab it. Whoosh. Hopefully that helps. I think if multiple people have tried to help you but you still can't get it, make a visual aid. Just draw on your hand. Again, across the wrist, goes across the back, through the thumb. All right, hopefully that'll help you. If you work on your own visual aid, then you can keep practicing it until you get it. Let me get back to the front. And then just review this video because this video will post. And so you can review it. I don't know how far we are into it, but just kind of find this place and I bet you'll be able to get it. If you can't though, let me know, send me a video of what you're attempting. My email again is ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. More than happy to look as long as you don't mind that we share it on a live stream. That way we can help everyone that is struggling with that question. All right. Oh, good, glad. And Martin says that makes a lot more sense. That's good, yeah, no. Sometimes, actually a lot of times, most of the stuff that we learn isn't hard as long as everything's broken down, but if you miss one piece of the puzzle, then the whole thing crumbles. And with the front to front, there's multiple simple things, but if they're not followed, it's like the X catch, you know, then it looks like a very complicated thing. So hopefully that helps. Try your visual aid out and see if that works out well too. All right, I've answered all of the Facebook questions. We're gonna move over to YouTube. And again, this is a live stream, so if you have any questions, this is the time. We're open forum. I will answer anything. Although I do think that I'm starting to get a little bit Gonna wrap it up probably in about 20 to 30 minutes regardless, but let me just keep going here. Okay, Ike Flow said, I've been doing it like the second one you did, but reversing it with a low rebound, taking it high, and returning it to the same hip side. Okay, cool, yeah. I mean, there's so many ways that you can incorporate. The wonderful thing that you're doing, though, is you said, look, I learned hyperstyle for nunchucks. This can work on the staff, and you're absolutely right. Hyperstyle can work on just about any prop. And a matter of fact, hyperstyle itself, when I created hyperstyle, or when I tried to make it into a style, it was from watching glow stringers. So if you watch glow stringing videos, you will see some insane stuff. Look at glow stringing, and you'll see where the foundations of hyperstyle came from. It's just rebounds, basically. I mean, if you think of any style, it's really a limitation. So like, you create a limitation until you have to get creative, and that creates a style out of it because you're able to actually come up with new tricks and techniques simply based off limitations. Don't forget that, because a lot of times people think that being able to do anything is better, or having a great variety, but it's actually limitations that take you farther, in my opinion. When you put your hand behind your back, what can you come up with in your non-dominant hand? If your right hand's behind your back, if you're right-handed, what can you come up with? And if you stick with that for a couple weeks, you'll come up with some crazy creative stuff that you may have never thought about if you just said, well, I'm going to do any move. Let's see what kind of cool move I could come up with. Sometimes the best thing to do is to limit yourself with the style, and you'll come up with something fantastic that you would have never thought of before. Brian says, I can do simple figure eights, but when I add the second chuck, it doesn't look like your figure eights. It looks like I'm making, I look like an infant making circles. For that one, Brian, it's going to depend on what exactly you're doing, but let's go ahead and go over this really quick here. If we're talking about pure figure eights, I can tell you this. A pure figure eight, you're talking about how you can do one figure eight with one chuck, but the moment you have two chucks, it looks like an infant moving circles. It's probably because it's looking like this, is my guess. This is actually not a figure eight, it's a 3-beat weave. So if you're trying to do this move, it's actually a lot more complicated because we're opening and closing circles, crossing to the other side, opening and closing a circle, which is a lot different than if we were doing figure eights. If we're doing figure eights with two chucks, what you can do, the best way to do that is actually to slash down with both hands and cross your body, come up to the top, slash down, so it looks like this. This would be more figure eights. And in that way, we're not chasing it. We're not doing this chasing style, right? We're not doing split time. We're doing same time, and we're just going, we're at opposite ends. So if you can do this slash here, wait until your hand's on the other side, and then just mirror yourself until you can do this. This would be a great start, and this is also a better way to start with than to get into the 3-beat weave quite yet. I would start with that one first. So if you can do this, just wait until your hand crosses on the same side, and then do both hands and cross it over, like that. So yeah, that's probably all it is. My guess is that you're trying to do a 3-beat weave, but you're trying to do it in figure eight style, which would kind of look like this. Or it could look even different. Like it might look like this, or there's a lot of ways it could look, but it doesn't necessarily look like there's as much control because you have to avoid yourself. It doesn't weave through your wrists naturally. Your wrists actually get in the way of each other, which kind of makes it look like an infant because you're trying to dodge your wrists as opposed to move through your wrists. So that's my take. My take is that I think you're trying to do a 3-beat weave, but with a figure eight style, which won't quite work. I do have some videos on the 3-beat weave, and earlier in this video too, I demonstrated a little bit more, but it's all about opening and closing those circles to really get a good 3-beat weave for chucks. All right, Andrew says, I've been thinking about how to incorporate kicks into your routines. I do a lot of bounces on my knee and foot, but was wondering if you had any other approaches. Andrew, did you watch the hyper style by chance? We did 3 different kicks on that one. I don't know if you've seen that one, but let me go over a couple of ones that are easy here. When it comes to kicks, anything involving the leg, now keep in mind, I did not stretch, so I'm not going to throw a very high kick right now, but anything that bounces off your leg can become a kick. So if I'm spinning it counterclockwise and I bounce it underneath my leg, I can turn this into a kick, right? It becomes a kick as this bounce happens. The thing to keep in mind is most people when they kick, they lean backwards, but when you're spinning a chuck, you got to lean forwards to get it. So you have like this forward lurching kick, right? And it makes it a lot harder to do bounces. Sometimes you can lean back and still throw that kick, but not every move's going to work that way. Let me give you a couple kick moves that I think you can do that are really fun. Obviously, is the one I just showed you. You have it in your hand, you're spinning it counterclockwise, and you just bounce on the outside of your thigh, and then you do a front kick. Whoosh, whoosh, right? Another kick you can do, one I really like to do, is from a number 3 bounce. Then we do a front to back hand roll. Number 3 bounce, front to back hand roll, like that. And what this is gonna do is we're gonna lift up our leg and we're gonna try to catch it underneath like here. So what we're gonna do is front to back hand roll and see if we can drop the leg to catch the nunchuck. So here, lift, catch. This takes a little bit of time, and the big practice is getting your front to back hand rolls and then just kind of reaching it under until your leg can get an accurate catch with this. So practice that, and then when you get that, then you can think about, well, what if I threw a kick before? So it's like whoosh, right? Or you don't catch it with your foot and you just drop it down. Now, I don't have the flexibility right now, but it would be an axe kick. So it would be something like you do this, you drop it down, and as you can see my axe kick, what happened was I put it in almost like a side stall. So I did a front to back wrist roll, dropped it here, and then my foot just came straight down, hit the chuck, and made it fly up in the air, no differently than if I just lifted my hand. So in that way it'd be like, boom, dropped it. The problem with the axe kick is you will send the chuck flying sometimes too fast. So it's better to kind of hit it middle to end, because the closer you get towards the rope, the faster that thing's gonna spin. Another one that you can do is if you know outside crescents. Again, I'm not flexible right now, but like those motions, you can throw those with under the leg kicks. So an example, if I'm doing my right hand and I'm going clockwise, I get my hand low, I get ready to do my outside crescent, right? You can practice this first by just lifting your knee and seeing if you can just throw it underneath and catch it. The trick to getting this catch is as you go under your leg, you pull it backwards as you let go, and that's going to cause it to retract a little bit this way. So, whoosh. If you can do that, then you just throw a kick on it. Whoosh. Right, so now we can go whoosh, whoosh. Those are just a few of them. The last one I'll show you is one I did, which is a round kick. I'm doing a back leg round kick. This one is kind of iffy, but what you do is as you throw your round kick, your hand comes under and it throws straight up. So here, whoosh. Let's try it again. The way this one works, this one's kind of an awkward one, because as you're reaching under, you have to kick this way. So your hand's reaching under, you're gonna try to keep as straight as you can, but you still have to make this kick. So it looks kind of like that. But then you're gonna do the same thing where you just kind of pull backwards at the last second. So we got a round kick, axe kick, front kick, outside crescent kick. We got some kicks there. It would be a good start though, good variations. The trick is, let's see, let me get back to the front cam. The trick for anything is whenever you incorporate leg motions or leg bounces, see where you need to put that kick in prior. You got to do it before the bounce happens, so there's a little bit of coordination. It's almost like kick bounce. Instead of thinking, so when you're thinking of the bounce, you have to remember that your kick has to be ending when the bounce starts in order for that to work. So you always have to think of your kick first before. So this planning has to happen simultaneously, but the kick has to happen first. And then as the kick is returning, usually it's creating some sort of bounce or hybrid motion, usually. Hopefully that helps. Holy moly says, thanks for the tip. I will think about it. Yeah. Ike Flow says, talking about stalls, I'm good all directions, but struggle when I have two poi with the top one in a pendulum movement and the bottom one mirrored. It's the bottom one I struggle with. If you're talking about left hand or opposite hand, it's pretty rough for me too. Gotta be honest, I don't do a whole lot of stalls unless they're mirrored, and I generally prefer stalls. Well, yeah, I don't. Like I said, most of my stuff is mirrored when I do stalls too. So I'm trying to visualize exactly what stall that you're doing with that particular moment. But I can't say like my left hand took 3 times as long to learn as my right. And you know what I say, and I'm kind of weird on this one, but I always say like, you should only learn both hands if there's a need to. I'm not one of those people that say if you can do it with your right, you should do it with your left. I actually say you shouldn't do it with your left unless you're doing something like a turn or stalls or where you need to mirror it, where they both need to be active. Generally speaking, I like to say that teach your muscle memory different tricks in different hands, and you'll have twice as many moves that you can use. But then teach yourself both hands when you need to turn or anything essential. That's just my style, though. Take it with a grain of salt. Let's see here. At the end, I don't have an issue, just can't seem to do it low. You know, why don't you, if you can just send me a video sometime, just send me a video, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. Send me a video and let me see. Poi is not my strong point. I learned poi just so I could transfer the techniques over into other props, so I probably can help you, but if not, I might be able to refer it to some people that could, so. Samar says, hey, can you show me how to do the move where you throw up the chuck, spin it, and catch it in midair? I've got a few of those, but I think the horizontal one is probably what we're looking for, so let's go ahead and go into that one. My favorite nunchuck move anyways, so let's just go ahead and get into it. This is my favorite move. I think this is what we're talking about, where we're basically going here again. This is my favorite move. I love this move because I can launch that thing like 20 feet in the air. Not here, but when I'm outside and I'm doing my circus acts and I got fire chucks, just rah, and it's just way up there, snatch it out of the air. The way this works is you're doing a horizontal figure 8 wrist roll. So you've got to do the horizontal figure 8 wrist roll. Once you do the horizontal figure 8 wrist roll, when you go into back grip, you're letting this spin a whole direction. You're letting it spin a whole circle down, and it's going to start coming upwards. As it starts coming upwards, that's when you pull up and you let go. So again, you're here, front to back to front to back to front to back. Don't do the back to front here. Instead, let it twist over and then spin it that way. Now, the harder that you pull it backwards, the more revolutions you're going to have. So let me show you. If I just pull it backwards, there's going to be a lot more revolutions. But I still need to get it high. So as I pull it backwards, I also lift it up, and that will give me height. Eventually, oops, I hit myself. Eventually, you can kind of control it between how high and how hard you pull backwards, and you can find the right mix. Try not to pull it backwards too hard at first. When it's in the air, spotting it is a whole nother story. So the chuck is spinning in the air, and you're trying to spot it. But keep in mind the chuck is spinning this way, right? Right? So what I'm doing is when I'm looking up in the air, pretend like the ground is this way, and I'm looking up and I see this chuck, and let's see here, it would be spinning this way. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to reach my hand to intercept the chuck. Well, actually, let me see here. Yeah. When the chuck is spinning, actually skip the whole bird's eye view. I don't think that that's a good enough analogy. When the chuck is spinning this direction as it's coming down, I'm trying to grab it as from the farthest away that it possibly is from my body, because that's the direction that it's spinning anyways. So when I grab it, I'm pulling it in the same direction as I come downwards, so it never stops the flow. So I'm looking to catch it on the outside. Sometimes you can't catch it here. You can still grab it when it's over here and just swing it down past. So whoosh, whoosh, or the cool thing is the more you do it, the easier it gets to catch. You might want to protect your face at first, because you might smack yourself in the face. So you might want to just kind of have a cover hand with your other hand while you do that. That's not a bad idea, but it is absolutely, the crowds love that move, and it feels great to do. It's one of my favorites, for sure. Andrew says, thanks for the insight, Ken. Ever since you started the streams, I've been meaning to ask you about that. I really enjoy how interactive these are. Oh, good. No, I'm glad. Yeah, like I said, one of the positives of all of this is just our ability to communicate more and just what it's done with our community. It's really great. IK Flow says it's an upside down horizontal stall. I'll try to send a video. Yeah, if you could send me a video, that would be the most beneficial. I think I know what you're saying, but I don't want to misinterpret it. And I'm just, like I said earlier, there's some things I just can't visualize. I just have to see it. But yeah, if you send a video, then maybe it's something we can cover in the next live stream, which would be cool anyways, because I'm always looking for new material. As I've said in the past, have you guys realized, like, I have over 800 videos? I don't even know. I could go on my YouTube and count exactly how many videos it is. But if you can just imagine, like, the material that I have to come up with nowadays is pretty insane. Give me a second here. Just want to see. Oh, it doesn't say. Bummer. Okay, so let me just go to YouTube Studio. So if you could just imagine 10 years of coming up with nunchuck tricks, right? Like, I'm running out of ideas. So these live streams just make the most sense to me because it's helpful. I also think coming up with a compendium of moves is also really smart. And from the sounds of it, everyone wants to learn that too. Everyone's in on the DVD thing, I think, so far at least. I guess even if you're not, it's just going to be a bit of work. So I'm still trying to think about it, because if I do that, I may have to pull back live streams a little bit more because, yeah, it might take a bit. But in the end, we'll have a compendium, a huge encyclopedia of moves that people can pull from. And I think that's pretty cool. Let me see here. Give me just a second here. I want to go to my video dashboard because I'm just curious now. I just thought it would tell me how many videos I have, but it doesn't. I can't see it. All right. Well, I guess I'll just answer questions then. Crazy. I just want to know how many videos I have on YouTube. There's got to be like a bit. Well, we'll find out later. I don't want to waste too much time here. All right. Alex says, will this video be available to watch again? Could learn a lot from this video. Absolutely it will. It should save it to Facebook as well as YouTube. So either way, you'll be good. Like, just come back in like an hour or two and it should be fully streamed. Samyar says, yes, that's awesome. What about the one where you throw it behind you and spin and catch it? Oh yeah, that's another really good one. Yeah, I really like that one too. That's broken into 4 parts. I'll show you. This is another one of my favorites. So the first part is, first let's demonstrate the move. What he's asking is how to do this. The move is actually fairly simple. It's 4 steps. First, you're gonna stand with the chuck, holding it, and it's moving counterclockwise, right? Step 1, right foot takes a step. Here, keep your spin the same. Don't stop the spin. So see how it's spinning? Don't change it. Don't change it. Keep it there. The goal of this chuck, it never turns with me. It's always facing the camera. So if you're doing this by a wall, you can say this is always facing the wall. It never moves over here. It never moves to the other side. It's always on this side. So step 1, step. My back's to this, right? Step 2, hold your arm out like this. Hold your arm out like this and see if you can just bounce it on your shoulder. So here to here. We're not letting go yet because you got to get the angle right. If you don't get the angle right, step 3 and step 4 is your chuck's just going to fly away. So again, step 1 is get here. Step 1, boom. Step 2, boom. And as you notice, it's tapping the top of my shoulder like this. Now, the actual move, I'm going to twist my wrist and let go. But we first need to make sure that it's kind of moving in between the pocket of my shoulder. So it's moving right here. Boom. It should be like right there. It should be tapping the top of my shoulder. If you're tapping the top of your shoulder, you got it right. So here we go. 1, 2. And as this starts to come up now, I want you to twist your wrist and let go. You're not going to touch the top of your shoulder, but it's almost going to touch. Because if you let go before it touches your shoulder too early, it's just going to fly there. It needs to be moving upwards for this to work. So wait for it to swing up, almost touch your shoulder, and then let go. All right, here we go. 1, 2. Right, 3 is just turn around again. It should land in front of you. It should be right here in front of your face. If it's over here or over here, your angle is wrong back here, and adjust. You want to make sure you get that angle right first. And step 4 is just reach out and catch it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I probably need to count faster if I do it that way. 3 is twist, 4 is grab. So I'm not going to count it now. I'll just show you. Here we go. One motion. Let's try it again. like that. So one more time, step, throw, turn, grab. That is the secret. And again, that is another crowd favorite. People love that move. I think anything with turning or anything dynamic, people get used to people standing still. A lot of spinners stand still. So incorporating movement just adds more pizzazz. It looks great. Let's see here. Aikiflow says, does the martial arts side still interest you? It used to. I've gotten a lot of damage from the martial arts that I did. We were pretty heavy on the contact though, so I've like had hyperextended elbows, and I've got some damage from martial arts for sure. I did it long enough. It doesn't interest me as much as it used to. I kind of burned out on it, to be honest. When I was doing martial arts, I like learned so many ways to break arms and legs. Seriously, like at least the teacher that was teaching me the most, he was all about breaking appendages, but it's just like I kept learning the same, like I just kept learning different ways to keep like mutilating people. So I felt like I was like I've got the moves that I know I'll do in my self-defense. So it does interest me to a degree, but not nearly as much as circus arts, because I feel like the moves that I learned here, like it's for creativity. So it's a different focus. I'm not saying that I feel completely focused that I could beat anyone in a fight. I'm just saying I feel confident enough to where I don't really want to learn it too much more. I wouldn't mind brushing up on what I already know, but I feel pretty confident. If I were to train in something, it would be like something artsy, artistic. I feel like the self-defense side I trained for quite a while, put a lot of time into it, but now I'm just kind of moving it forward or moving it off to the side into something else. I have major respect though for martial artists. Think it's fantastic, and I definitely would be pursuing it more if I didn't do it throughout my childhood so much. 912 videos. Thank you, Aikiflow. I have 912 videos. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. So yeah, if you guys could imagine, if I just said, hey, make me 912 different videos about nunchucks. Show me all the different things you could do. Like it gets pretty rough. Even if say we could say 200. Let's just take 200 off. Say, hey guys, make 700 videos with different nunchuck techniques. Like it gets tough, which is why I like the live streams, because I could show you some of these like off the wall moves that I've been working on, but to be honest, it's like English, like I said, we're all authors, and it's really about how you write your story. It's about how you use the techniques you already know. You'll reach a level where you don't need to learn more techniques. You can, it's good, but it's not going to make you better. What's going to make you better, you'll reach a point where what'll make you better is not going to be more techniques, but how you use it and how you speak with it and how your body communicates with it and how you can take what you already know to the next level. Just like Bruce Lee, he said he like fears the man that practices 10,000 not 10,000 kicks once, but one kick 10,000 times, because there's a mastery in that. And that's how I feel too. That's why I kind of struggle sometimes with trying to find like what good videos to release, which is why I love the live streams. Yeah, that was the whole point of that. Why I was looking at the video was to say that I love live streaming. I gotta say though, from the first live stream, it was really awkward for me, and I feel a lot more comfortable now. Let's see here. Ubi says, Ken, I just want to say thank you. You're one of my digital mentors, and I watch you whenever I can. Ever displayed your skills at Burning Man? Almost. I've never been to Burning Man. Everyone tells me I need to go. It does look fantastic. I just get caught up on things, but I should make it a priority because I know I would love it. I started with a 6-foot bow staff and then lightsabers, and then bought a 5-foot fire staff that I have yet to light, and it converts to a dragon. Sweet. How do you feel about longer staffs? I love longer staffs. I think they're awesome. Like I've seen so many great XMA bow staff spinners. My whole thing is I usually use, when I do staffs, I like to keep the staffs just long enough to where I could do more martial artsy tricks, but short enough to where I can do tricks by my waist. Because I'll show you. There's tricks that I can do that can't be done with longer staffs. For instance, one of my favorite moves is this one. But the thing is you need just enough clearance for this to be able to rotate. So if this was a foot longer, it would hit the ground. It wouldn't even be able to go. It would just be like boom, and it gets stuck there. So I personally I use slightly smaller staffs, so I have this access to spinning a staff here at this angle, as well as up here. Having a longer staff, generally speaking, is super impressive to the audience, though. I will say that, like, the audience members love the bigger the prop is, the better the audience, people love it. And I think long bow staves are sweet. I just have this thing with quadrants, really. Like, you've heard me talk about quadrants before, the ability to spin by my shoulders and by my waist. If I have full control over both sides, I generally have more fun with it. But I don't know, maybe one of these times I should pick up a 6-foot staff and just see. I think it'd be really fun. I just would miss the waist stuff a lot. There's a lot of waist tricks I like. Okay, awesome. Well, I think I've reached the end of the questions, and we've been going for about an hour and a half of lessons, but never fear, we will have more live streams. Like, this is it, man. This is what I'm doing. So I've made the decision to keep live streaming as long as I possibly can. Next week, let me know. Again, if you have videos you want me to watch, we're going to do at least 2 live streams again next week. If you have videos you want me to watch, send me an email, ken.flowtricks@gmail.com, and I'll review it. But just keep in mind that it might be in front of the public. So I'm trying to, I'd like to use it to help other people, definitely. And again, if you enjoyed the video too, don't forget, love tips. I live off of them right now, in Patreon, that is. But either way, just hope you guys are doing well. I would like to know what you all would like to see next. Send me a message or just leave a comment. The next 2 live streams you want to see, do you want another open forum? Do you want bow staff? Do you want nunchucks? Well, regular staff. It's not really a bow, I guess. You want 2 staves? You've seen I do two staves. What do you want to learn next? Do you want to continue on with some more nunchuck stuff? And then I'm gonna look into making that DVD. Like I said, it's gonna be a lot of organization on my part, but I'll take a look at that and see what we can do, because I do think that that's a good move, especially like when I'm thinking in terms of leaving a legacy, or people have got to pick up the torch. And my goal with all of this obviously is to make you guys better, to take you farther than I could go, because I had to go through a lot of walls in order to learn the stuff I did, because I was just trying to figure out how it could be done. So like the shortcuts have been provided, so that way it's like a launch pad, and when you guys get on it, you can take it further. You can throw out the things you don't think actually work as well, and you can incorporate the new stuff that you think works better. And then when you teach it, it'll be at a higher evolved level. It'll be even better than the original. And I think that's kind of what we want with our generations, is that every new generation is a little bit better than the last. And that's how we evolve, that's how we get better. And I'm just grateful and happy that I could play a part in the beginning, but I know that this needs to get to bigger things. So thank you all again. I'm going to check one more time. Perfect. Okay, no more questions. So you all be well, and I will talk to you all next week. So keep spinning. I mean, we're indoors, so spin like crazy. Send me some videos if you want. Don't forget, my Facebook has a Flowtricks group. Official Flowtricks group is on Facebook. We've got like 3,000 people posting their videos and whatnot. So drop by, say hi. I'm not on it that as much. I got to be honest. I'm not on the Facebook group as much, but I do tend to check in from time to time. Definitely the best way to get a hold of me is when I'm doing my streams. So send me that email if you really, really want me to see it. ken.flowtricks@gmail.com. Otherwise, I'll talk to you all soon. Be well.